Alright, more on knives, but this time other hobbies and skills around knives that that are commonly associated with knives. Now, none of these are going to be negative things like violence or stabbing people or robberies, of course. That's not acceptable. But other useful skills around knives. And I've got a few examples with me here, as always. Not just the knives, but other things as well. What you'll see when it comes to knife collectors, knife users on social media, especially Facebook and Twitter. Not Facebook and Twitter, Facebook and YouTube. If you're, if you're part of any of these groups, you'll know that that a lot of knife people also acquire, if you like, other interests and skills and hobbies when they start getting interested in knives. For example, woodworking or wood carving, whittling, and an example of that being this. This is clearly a spoon and bowl, and the only tools that I used to make this was a knife and an axe and a saw. So I used a knife kind of similar to this one here to make that. Now, this started off as a much bigger piece of wood, of course, but I actually used an axe to cut it down to smaller size, to cut off bigger pieces. I didn't use this exact axe, I used a Halterforge. This is a Granvers Brooks. And there are some knives designed especially for doing this, like these Moras. This is called a crook knife. That's spelled C-R-O-O-K. And this is basically, it's kind of like a gouge chisel, but it's for scraping out the material like this. Scraping out the bowl and spoon. And this is a carving knife. This is a Swedish Mora. And there are many other types of knives for woodworking. And even if it's not a knife designed especially or specifically for that, it doesn't matter, you could use almost any knife. A lot of people actually use a Swiss Army knife to do exactly that. Or some people may use a Leatherman, or just a traditional pocket knife like this case. That said, some people are actually skilled enough that they can make a bowl with nothing more than an axe, and I've seen videos on that on YouTube, and it's honestly really impressive. Moving on from the woodworking, tool sharpening, which is why I have these whetstones here. These are Japanese waterstones. This is how you get blades and tools sharp. Now, tool sharpening or blade sharpening, be it a chisel or a knife or an axe or whatever, is something a lot of people cannot do these days. And it's one of those things that I personally pride myself on being able to do. Now, I know there are a lot of people out there that can do it, just the average person you come across won't have a bloody clue where to start. And of course, people like me can get a blade razor sharp using these. Or other methods, like using a sharpening steel. It does take a lot of time and effort to learn how to do it, but it's a great feeling once you've finally sort of mastered it, if you like. Starting off at your coarse stones, working up to medium, fine, super fine, and eventually getting your mirror polished edge, and your blade being razor sharp. You get your blade so shiny you can't see your own reflection, and that's a good feeling, trust me. I've done it many times. And then of course, moving on to your leather strop compound. You can use a sharpening stone to sharpen any blade, from axes, knives, chisels, plain irons, anything. Now, another thing I've noticed around people who collect and use knives like these is not tying. Here's some examples of that. Many people who collect knives like to tie lanyards onto their knives. In my opinion, that's a very good skill to have. Again, if you go into any YouTube channel or any Facebook page that has knife collectors on it, you'll see these lanyards. And a lot of people who collect knives also like to tie these bracelets, myself included. So that's some of the other interests and skills that do come with collecting knives. So why would you want to collect a knife? Well, honestly, it's a pretty fun hobby. Just because you collect knives or you like knives does not make you a maniac. Does not mean you want to go out and stab someone. I've probably over 100 knives now, and I've never felt the need to stab anyone. I've never felt the need to rob anyone, to threaten anyone, nothing. I just like knives. A lot of them I use for various things like cutting fruit or cutting cord or whatever, woodworking. Some of them just sit in my cabinet. This for me, this is a cabinet piece. This just sits in the display cabinet. This is a replica Hitler Youth knife. And that just lives in the cabinet with a couple other military style knives. Many people who collect knives also do bushcraft, which is basically going out to the woods and sort of, I wouldn't say living off the land, but you basically make things with the materials you can find, like wood. So you'd make your shelter with an axe and a knife and a saw, and you would forage for food and that sort of thing. How that could be a bad thing, I have no idea. To me, that's just nothing more than a positive. Aside from that, knives are honestly, obviously, pretty useful. Even a standalone blade like this. Now there you go. You can see the mirror polish I've got on the blade right there. Knives are just really useful. And if a knife on its own isn't enough for you, a lot of knives also have other tools on it like this. This has a knife, a saw, scissors, a can opener, bottle opener, various screwdrivers, a bradawl. Same with these Leatherman multi-tools, but they also have pliers. I mean, why wouldn't you want to carry that? That's what I don't understand. Why would you bash someone for carrying that is useful? That's all it is. And honestly, carrying a knife is about preparedness, and it's not just about having to defend yourself. Most people in the UK who carry a knife, they're not doing it to defend themselves because that's illegal. I certainly don't do it to defend myself. These are some knives here that I like to carry. Not for self-defense, because carrying a knife for self-defense is illegal. These knives here are perfectly legal to own and carry, and I do so every single day just because it's useful. So I hope that was interesting and helpful, and thank you for watching.